Hello and welcome to the second episode of ACM's Vault of Cult. Thanks to everybody who listened to the first episode, Master of the Universe, that went up about a week or so ago. It'll stay online, so if you did miss it, do check it out and let us know what you think of the podcast and, more importantly, what you think of the movie Master of the Universe. This week we're chatting about 1985's 80s cheese fest Teen Wolf, starring Michael J. Fox. One of my favourite films, actually. I grew up watching this, one of the first films I owned on video, if not the first. I'm unsure because it was a long time ago. Michael J. Fox plays an ordinary teenager who's bored of his life until he finds out that he is a werewolf, making him extremely popular and good at sport. And this is a very, very cheesy movie that spawned a cartoon series, a sequel, and a more modern Twilight-style TV show, which shares very little with it, apart from the name of the characters and the show. As usual, I'll be chatting about this movie to people who didn't grow up with it, is new to them. Returning this week is Andrew and Owen, who recently watched the movie. I've recently rewatched it, and we had a marvellous conversation about it. So, listen up. Owen, thank you for joining us again, and
I'm Andrew.
Okay, if you listen to the first episode, these are the guys I spoke to about Masters of the Universe. This week, we're talking about Teen Wolf, a film that Owen, you hadn't seen up until about a week ago.
Yes, I must have been. I think it was because you mentioned it as like, that's been one I've been meaning to watch, and I was like, so I decided to watch it, and then again just before doing this tonight, but yeah, not seen it before in any passing way at all.
Had you heard of the film?
Yeah, I was aware of it, particularly in connection like Michael J. Fox, but I didn't really know what to expect with it at all, so I knew nothing about it apart from it existed.
Okay, and yourself?
Yeah, I'd seen it a few years ago, but not for a little while, so it was nice to become reacquainted with it.
Yeah, excellent. Now we'll just talk about the film for a bit. Directed by Rod Daniel, who was mainly known for TV. He'd done Magnum P.I., and before that, and then after this, had a few hit movies with a film called Like Father, Like Son, which was Dudley Moore's rip-off of Big, where he swapped bodies with his son.
Oh, that sounds great.
And I believe he'd done K9 as well, which was the James Belushi take on Turner and Hooch, which was another big hit, and then went back to a lot of TV work. The last thing he actually done after that, so before he retired, I believe, was Home Alone 4, I think.
Oh dear.
Yeah, which was made for TV. He done Beethoven Second as well, which was a cinema release sequel, but not so nothing. This is probably his most well-known work, which is nice, really, because we're talking about it. And written by the same two writers as the film Commando, and
who'd have guessed that?
Yeah, exactly, which came out a year or so later, and they went on to. Well, one of them went on to work for Marvel and produce and write a lot of the Netflix shows they've done, like Daredevil and that sort of thing. And the other guy has just basically lived off Teen Wolf for the rest of his life. Do you just sort of summarise the plot? It's
yeah. So
it's a teenage Michael J. Fox, who's 23 when he played this teenager.
yeah.
Crap at basketball, but loves it. Works for his dad, very sort of normal, and he doesn't like being normal, does he?
He's tired of being average.
Yeah,
aren't we all?
Yeah, and turns into a wolf.
So it's a well-known family trait that his dad didn't bother to raise up until he actually finds out he is a wolf.
Yeah, and nobody mentions it to him either.
Or the fact that apparently his dad used to turn into a wolf in the town, and everyone in the house in the town was aware of this. But that again, nobody really thought that was a memorable incident.
Yeah, and this is a thing with the film as well. He turns into a wolf, gets them really good at basketball, because that's what he does. But there's no media coverage. No one, you'd think that the FBI might show up in some sort of ET type.
Yeah,
but that's just they just let him carry on as normal, and he becomes popular. And the girl of his dreams suddenly finds him attractive, even though he's a wolf. But it's just one thing, I don't know if it works or not. He pushes our friends away to become popular, and he sort of becomes a bit big-headed, a bit of a jerk. But do you think he actually turned nasty, or was just?
It's sort of, I suppose it's quite a common sort of narrative, isn't it? That the person who sort of gains everything and loses what they had. But in this, he seems quite a nice bloke. He's an idiot, but he's no more of an idiot than any 17-year-old. I don't feel like that element necessarily works that well. He seems like quite a nice bloke throughout, really. Maybe I missed it, but for the most part, seems alright.
He's got a friend in it called Lewis, who there's sort of a group of them, and it's mentioned towards the end of the film that Lewis just doesn't want to be around him. It's sort of implied because he's changed, but you don't really see that, do you?
You don't really see Lewis at all. I think he has about 2 spoken lines in the entire film. So it doesn't really. That point doesn't carry on, and all his other mates hang out with him. The bird, I suppose, we'll come to later.
We're not recording this in the 80s now.
She's not chuffed with it all, but she's not shirty as such.
She sticks by him. Oh, you mean the girl he likes?
No, his old one, Booth.
He's sort of his best friend, but she clearly likes him.
But she doesn't mug him off.
No,
But she just doesn't like, this wolf fellow. Maybe give him the sack.
Yeah, it's interesting at the beginning scene when it starts.
Oh, that light is a perfect scene, and then you go to a sweating forehead, and the sweat in that film is some of the best I think recorded.
I think the sweat was nominated for an Oscar.
Sweaty. I hope to never exert myself that much, but I am that sweaty. No one should ever be that sweaty.
Especially over sport, It
doesn't seem worth it.
High school basketball, but that scene is interesting because you see the crowd, and his friend Booth is the only one who's sort of rooting for him and clapping for him. The girl he likes is, I think, reading a book and yawning. It sort of really sets up these two characters, and it's a good start to the film because you can see he's about to make the shot to win, and he loses. He misses the shot, and it goes to the coach, who's a great character. What's the guy's name? It's a stand-up comedian, isn't he?
Jay Tersers?
That's it. He's got one of those familiar faces. I think he's done a lot of TV and that sort of thing. Not many film credits when I looked it up. But he plays a basketball coach who just doesn't seem to care whether they win or lose. And he's got some
great lines, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, if Martin wearing sneakers like that, there's no telling what they could do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I thought you can carry out into most lives. If I wore sneakers like they did, there's probably no telling what I could do.
And there doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's the taking part that counts, and even that's not important.
Yeah.
But I imagine, as he's a comedian, he improvised a lot of that. I get that impression. It just it almost seems at points like he's in another film.
Yes. Yeah.
A better film. But he's good. And I think I've rewatched it. A couple of rewatched this for this time. He's the same character as in the sequel. And it's just a different actor, and he just hasn't got any of the charm or likability.
He's got weird hair, which is sort of similar.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah. We will talk a bit about the sequel later. But if you talk about some of the other characters, there's Pamela, the girl he likes, who is stereotypical, good-looking, 80s good-looking. She's got the blonde hair, and he's, for some reason, infatuated with her, even though she's nothing but horrible to him.
She's never said 2 words to him.
Yeah. But he's obsessed, and she suddenly sort of likes him when he becomes a wolf. But she's got a boyfriend called Mick, who is a fair bit older. It implies that he's been to prison and therefore held back in school. I don't know how that works.
So I couldn't work out. Did Mick go to the same school, but
apparently
play for a different team?
I
don't. You never see him in the school, though, do you? I think he
just sort of lurks around the school.
Yeah.
And then are there like shared changing facilities as well for the basketball teams? Did they? Kind of like in the first scene, like when Star's going to walk through one change room to the other. Plus maybe they're just adjacent, but it kind of almost feels like in that shot they're all just changing in the same room.
Yeah.
As rival teams.
Yeah. That's when he finds the really long hair on his chest that he just plucks out and is like, oh, I wonder.
It doesn't even look like there's no pain there, is there?
No.
It's almost like it was glued on for sort of makeup or something.
And there's the stereotypical 80s fat kid called Chubby.
It
comes from a world where fat kids only eat too much liver sausage. I can smell that liverwurst from here, Chubbs.
He's eating all the way through it. He gets angry that they're making fat jokes at him, but he's just... His nickname's Chubby. Yeah. He's not worried about that, but he's eating...
Is that a nickname?
And he's just eating non-stop, so... That's weird. He's almost like an old... what's the kid from the Goonies who does the Huffle Shuffle? Chunk, that's it. It's like... but it's around the same time, and they put one of these for laughs. Let's laugh at fat people. That's one of the many things I think you couldn't do nowadays in this film. Do you agree?
Yeah.
You'd probably have a slightly different kind of message behind that one.
Yeah, there'd be
not just he loves a liver sausage.
Yeah.
He'd probably have to have a personality trait or something, wouldn't he, apart from that?
Yeah.
He'd look angry and be fat.
Yeah. And there's no apologising for it. Later on in the film, they don't all, sorry, we were really rude to you. It just carries on.
No. He's like there at the party to just eat more, isn't it?
Yeah.
He has to eat it out of that woman's shirt, which I don't think that would be allowed in a film now either.
In a PG
film.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene, they're all meant to be in high school, even though they're all mid to late 20s, the actors. Apart from Michael J. Fox was 23, I think, when they made it.
Stuff.
Yeah. So they're all older than you two.
Yeah.
And they have this party where they're all... It looks like there's some marijuana being smoked. They're all drinking when they're underage.
Some kind of tied up behind your back, semi-nude wrestling in some form of undisclosed substance.
Maybe my life is very boring, but I can't say I've ever been to a party quite like that.
No.
It was quite organised in its debauchery. It was impressive.
It was organised by the man who didn't even know he was invited, it seemed. He seemed Styles, who at this point early in the film is going on about how he needs to get something to get invited. Yeah. He seems to be MC of the whole event.
Yeah, he's acting like a game show host.
Yeah.
Which is strange. But Styles is an interesting character, I think. It's very... No teenager in the history of the world has ever acted like this.
No.
He's kind of like part game show host, he's got that sort of vibe about him, and part Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses. Because he's sort of wheeling, dealing, he buys a van and puts the wolf's face on it, he's making T-shirts of the wolf.
Absolute sociopath.
And he's got brilliant T-shirts as well.
Yes.
One of them says...
obnoxious is one he wears at the party, I think. But that's the boring one, isn't it?
Yeah. What are you looking at, Dick Nose, is the well-known one. And isn't there one something like life shit and then you die?
Yes.
Something like that. I don't think they actually use the swear. Swearing and language in the film as well. There's not a lot of it.
No.
There's a few. They say like "damn." I think they say "bastard" once. I mean, this is PG, but I think it's gone up to 12 on Blu-ray.
I can believe that. Yeah.
And they like in the Bill and Ted recently. There's a warning because they use the term "fag," which in America doesn't mean cigarette like here. It's homophobic slur basically. And in the same scene, they're looking for their stash, which is implied drugs. So two things you couldn't have in a PG nowadays.
Yeah.
And I imagine that scene would be cut from TV now.
Certainly.
Yeah. And it does come across as quite homophobic because Scott is telling his best friend, or trying to tell his best friend, that he's a wolf, and he thinks he's going to tell him he's gay and says he couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Don't know if that's a joke or not. It doesn't come across jokey.
No.
But
it's all right to be a werewolf, but don't be gay. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That's something
Cheers.
But it's also something I didn't. When I was a kid, I didn't really pick up on it. And it might be because that's an American term, not English. So maybe I'd have been. I mean, this was one I said in the intro, one of the first videos I ever owned. So I'd have watched this 6 or 7 years old, probably. So something like that would have totally gone over my head, I think.
Yeah.
Same with the sort of the underage drinking. There's a scene where they're trying to buy alcohol, And they actually serve it to him in the end because his eyes glow up in a really sort of cheesy, and to give me the keg of good. Yeah, and these, which is one of the famous scenes from the film, or most famous scenes, and it's in the trailer, that bit, which is a bit of a giveaway. But also it's a different voice in the trailer as well. And you mentioned earlier about how his dad used to turn into a wolf. There's a scene where you see his dad, and that's meant to be a bit of a surprise, and that's in the trailer as well.
It happens quite early in the film as well. You sort of think maybe
it's a strange film, I think, in that sense. That what seems to be kind of surely the thing that drives the narrative and the drama, they seem to have very little interest in. As you say, the fact he's a wolf and they're just kind of, no one alerts the authorities. Yeah. No one tries to kill the wolf with like silver bullets or anything. It's just kind of, oh, he's a wolf now. Yeah,
but he's not a threatening wolf, is he?
He isn't. But
he's but he wouldn't be allowed to play basketball because he's that good that the others don't really need to.
Yeah, and that's the only reason they get upset. Not the fact he's now an animal, like a literal animal, who howls in the night. It's the fact he's so good he doesn't need them.
Yeah, and that's one of that kind of gets across why people aren't liking him, because he hogs the bar. I can understand people on his team not liking him, but everybody seems to just, apart from Styles, I suppose. But Styles is using him to make money.
So also, he just becomes a bit more like Styles.
Which seems to be one of the main things only the film was kind of drive. By being the wolf, you become more like Styles. As you say, as Styles was kind of a strange sort of character, it's difficult to really characterise how they were doing that, particularly. There's strange scenes like where you physically see, like the camera almost points at it. Styles getting like I don't know if he fails, but he gets quite a low grade on an exam. While he's as the wolf, he still gets a high grade. So I didn't know if the film was going to kind of say, oh, he's going to fail at school now, he's the wolf. There's stuff like that they kind of throw in and then don't do anything with.
And that's the stuff that I think is broadly handled better in Teen Wolf 2, dare I say. At least Jason Bateman, whatever his name in that is.
Todd
Howard. He does at least seem to sort of have those challenges, like, I'm throwing away my academic career. I'm being horrible to everyone. That element did seem like Teen Wolf 2 is not good. No. I'm not going to defend that, but at least that element of the character development does actually work quite well.
That's probably the one thing what does work better in Teen Wolf 2. But Teen Wolf 2 kind of it's boxing instead of basketball, and he's at university, and it's the cousin of this character, the dad, and the actor who plays Chubb's Return, Chubby or Chubb's. He's called both in the film, so that's one. And we two of us recently watched it. And the second one proper bombed.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, and it's just there's no reason he's not into boxing, and they trick him into boxing because they know he'll turn into a wolf. So you don't really root for him through the film at all.
Yeah, and Jason Bateman's he was quite creepy when he was young, wasn't
he? Yeah, but back to the original, the proper one, and we've mentioned a lot of the characters. We haven't mentioned the dad properly, have we? It's James Hampton who played him, who's been in loads of things, including Teen Wolf 2. But he's got 93 credits on IMDb, so he's quite like. I sort of see him as the go-to if Tom Bosley can't do it, as dads go. Likeable actor, I'd say. He's got that sort of caring side. He's almost like a sitcom dad. That's why I said Tom Bosley. And he's actually really good mates in real life with the guy who plays the principal, who sort of implies that he was his nemesis in high school.
Beef,
and there's no mention, not proper mention of the mum, apart from she's not there, and the bully jokes about shooting her. When she turned into a wolf at one point. But there's a lot of things which are sort of vague in it, and you just sort of...
You wonder if it's things that were lost in the edit, perhaps.
Yeah, which might have made it more of an adult film.
Yeah.
But I'd say the film flows well. It's just a tight 90 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, wouldn't say it actually gets boring ever.
No.
Just fun, and you sort of... I grew up loving this film, but to do this, I do have to pick at it. We're looking at films... I'm sort of trying to focus on films that didn't do very well. This actually was a big hit, but it got bad reviews. Michael J. Fox himself doesn't like it. Lot to do with the costume, I think, and he didn't like the makeup. What's the quote? I did write it down. Steven Spielberg is down the street making great movies, and I'm playing a werewolf.
But he did then at least get into the greater movie that was being made around the corner.
Exactly. That's the Spielberg produced Back to the Future, which was made after this, but this was released after that. And I think that the makers of this film knew Michael J. Fox had got this big film and held it back. To effect, I think that's one of the reasons it was a big hit. They mentioned Back to the Future in some of the ads. In Brazil, for some reason, it was called The Boy of the Future. Well, we know the reason, but it's got nothing to do with the plot. And that was Brazil. And in Italy, the character's name was changed to Marty. So there's a lot of... But that's how they sell it. I mean, I don't think that would work nowadays in any country calling a film something that has nothing to do with it because of an actor. But that's how big Back to the Future was in its day. Growing up, I didn't see this as a smaller film than Back to the Future, but I was that young. It clearly is. It's very low budget. There's, I think, one sort of half transformation scene. We mentioned this before. You see his face sort of bulge up and a bit of hair grow when he's looking in the mirror before he sees Dad. That's the only real special effects in the film, apart from glowing eyes.
Yeah. In my memory, there's a bit more to it, the transformation. I thought it perhaps held its own with American Werewolf in London, but it doesn't.
Well, you do see see his mouth getting a bit bigger, like
yeah.
So where did you watch? You didn't watch a cut TV version?
Maybe I did.
Yeah,
that could have been.
Because you do see a bit of
possibility. Yeah.
Did you remember
No, I say I would have watched it. With the version I watched would have been broadcast on television.
Yeah, during the day.
I don't know if it's during the day, but more than likely so. It could have been cut. So you see some of it, the transformation.
Yeah.
But it's not potentially full scale. I couldn't comment. But.
You sort of see him looking in the mirror, looking distressed. I think his nails grow and some hair comes out, and his face gets a bit bigger. But it was the film didn't have a big budget. I didn't actually look up how much it was, but it was shot in the whole production took 21 days, which is crazy. But for that, I think we've got a good film. Yeah. The basketball scenes. I mean, I'm not into basketball, but seem fine to me. They it looks like how it should. It doesn't. I mean, there's a stunt wolf at one point. You can notice it's someone else in the suit.
It's the massively longer legs, I think.
yeah. But it seems to flow quite well. Apparently, there was lots of outtakes because Michael J. Fox just wasn't very good at basketball.
Well, quite a little lad, isn't he, really, for basketball? I would have thought.
Yeah, that's and there's no sort of jokes made about that or anything.
No,
he's one of the star players on the team before he's a wolf, anyway, isn't he? He's kind of like the potential bright prospect, as you say. There's no real ever comment in the film that, mate. Yeah. Maybe basketball isn't for you. You are quite short.
Yeah, maybe golf or chess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, do you think he's a bit of a whiny Luke Skywalker? Kind of, he's complaining. Well, sort of the moral is, be yourself. You're all right anyway. But do you think he's unnecessarily complaining about things?
I don't know. I think it sort of fits quite well, really. I suppose people are like that in the teenage.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Sense as well, because they do set in quite a small town, don't they? It is small town America. It's not as though they've set it with that same level of angst, and he actually lives in New York.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Which they sometimes do. So it does make sense in that way. He is in the middle of nowhere, and town does feel quite dead. Maybe that's because there's so little screen time.
Because they're scared of the werewolves about, so they keep himself to himself.
Yeah, and so the small town thing, and the high school isn't particularly big. It would make sense that he's infatuated with this girl because he's probably grown up. She's grown up in the same year at school. But she hasn't noticed him because why should she? He's so average.
She's too busy dating Ben Shapiro.
But there's the big thing about Karate Kid, whether the Karate Kid was the bully, and I can sort of see in this that Michael J. Fox, Scott Howard, just tries to steal this the implied bully's girlfriend,
based on very limited evidence from her that she's no longer going out with him.
Yeah,
she literally just says, "Oh, yeah, I'll go out with you." But at no point does he ask or she say, although despite that they're very publicly going out.
Yeah, I think she's. just trying to pit them against each other, because they go bowling and in the next lane is him and his mate. Should have known this. And she's wearing her Teen Wolf t-shirt and just like making sure this bloke sees it, and they'd probably get on. I mean, they had a bit of rivalry on the basketball, but that's sport, isn't it? Sporty types off the field or whatever what you play. Court. Yeah. Gym. Yeah.
Basketball ring.
Basketball. Yeah.
Table.
There's the rivalry there, and then Michael J. Fox just doesn't like him because he's going out with a girl he fancies.
That's fair enough, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I suppose he is quite nasty, but I see it as
he does look just like Ben Shapiro, which really doesn't help his case.
So I think that's a bit. He's just trying to nick some bloke's girlfriend because he's infatuated with her, even though his best mate clearly likes him, and she's definitely the nicer of the pair.
And she's got a great collection of jumpers, isn't she?
She's got some lovely jumpers with Booth.
I'm not saying I'd wear them. Maybe I would. I don't know. They're nice though.
Yeah.
I don't have to wear them just to think they're nice.
No. But she's I'd say a likeable character. I actually really like the scene where they're just walking and they talk about when they were kids how they tried to run away together.
With the hedges sort of.
Yeah.
It's actually nicely shot as well.
Yeah, it looks like the street from Halloween,
Yes, yeah.
But they're talking about how they tried to run away as kids. They didn't get very far because they weren't allowed to cross the streets on their own. So they just went round in circles. That's just a nice little story there they've thrown in. But it shows that they grew up together and they're very close. And at the end, he goes to hug her, not the Pamela, the girl he likes. I don't know if it's implying they get together or just that they're good friends.
I think they do, because at the dance, isn't there? There's a scene where he goes out as the wolf, but once he's kissed Booth, he's himself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
Yeah. Just weird when they, at the party, they have to be in the closet together. And there's a coming out of the closet joke as well there. But they kiss then, and he claws the back of her. He rips the back of her dress. And
no one seems to notice.
They don't.
I mean, at that degenerate party, to be fair, I suppose that would be fairly part of the course, wouldn't it, I suspect?
That's strange. But I think the Booth character is one of the most likeable things in the film. The actress does a fine job.
Yeah.
Both actresses, do I know their names? Pamela's Laura Griffin, who I don't think was in anything else.
I think I read up that she kind of gave up acting, I think, early 90s. I think she was in possibly a film.
Okay.
One of her cast members died, I think.
Okay.
And she kind of lost interest in it after that.
Okay. And the one who played Booth, Susan Ferretti, is that how you pronounce it? She was in the early 80s film Zapped, which is a crazy sort of kids film. And or teenage film.
Was it the one with telekinesis powers?
Yeah, and it's the guy who played Chachi in Happy Days, isn't it? I think. His name.
Scott Bio.
That's the one.
Diagnosis Murder, son.
And she was in that, and the writers wanted her for this role specifically. But the character is based on one of the writers' real life girlfriends. That's what the name Booth was her nickname.
Oh, so when he turned into a wolf, the real writer, she stuck by him.
Yeah, that's probably it. That's what.
That all makes sense now.
But I imagine the actress reminded him of the actual person. That's why he wanted her in the role. And she's not mentioned at all in the sequel or anything, which is let's try to mention anything. But it'd be nice if Michael J. Fox wouldn't go back. He didn't want to do a sequel.
He didn't need to, did he?
No, he didn't need to. And it's not. You can't actually find much he's said about the film. But I guess I get the feeling he didn't particularly like it. But I think that would be because of the success of Back to the Future. I think if he hadn't been in the film so big, he might think of this one more fondly.
That's like Bateman would definitely come back for another Teen Wolf.
But it's one of those films as well that didn't really need a sequel, but it was a surprise hit. Was the thing?
There was a couple of cashed in the other ones, wasn't there? They were going to do like a female version, didn't they? Or it was Teen Witch.
Teen Witch
instead, yeah.
I don't know if Teen Witch was actually the same film company or anything, or they just call
I think it was meant to be a cash-in initially, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then it kind of ended up as a witch instead.
Yeah, because it just the logo looks the same, doesn't it, on the poster, video cover, or whatever. And Teen Witch isn't that. I'd say it's better than Teen Wolf 2, but not very good.
I haven't seen it. It just that I've just read in the write-up impromptu rap numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Which was a recommendation, I think.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time not long ago. So I imagine it's on Netflix or Prime or something, because I would not have paid for it. Yeah, definitely. The end basketball scene. Do you think that works for the ending of the... Because it's the team that his nemesis, Mick, plays for,
Also
who beats them at the beginning.
Sweaty man when it comes to the basketball pitch.
No
like
one's
literally
that sweaty in real life.
Lee Evans is.
He's not a real person, though, is he?
Yeah.
He's an advert for antiperspirant.
That's
he's
true.
a mascot.
So, the sweaty end, I kind of like it. I think it works.
What, the sweatiness?
Yeah, well, obviously.
Oh,
but the end, it's sort of... unlike in the sequel, it resolves the beginning.
Yeah.
When and he doesn't come out as the wolf, and he wins in the end as himself. I keep saying win in the end because while it's all happening, the song's playing where they repeat the words "win in the end," which implies they're going to win. So you don't really have to watch the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Which is always handy with the film, really.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the rest.
Go make a cup of tea or something.
Yeah.
Wait for the credits.
Yeah. And so I think that works as a. It's like a teen sport film, and he just happens to be a wolf.
Yeah.
Kind of. I think
he could have just got really good at basketball, and the same story would have happened.
Yeah.
He didn't have to get all hairy.
Yeah, because if he got good at basketball, he could have impressed a girl and maybe. So the sort of.
Yeah, what you think of it, it's just ludicrous, isn't it? They had an idea for a film, but they didn't really want to follow through with it. We want to make a werewolf film, or some kid finds there's a werewolf. Oh, but I want to make a film about basketball. Tell you what, we'll make your basketball film. It will just also be a werewolf within it. How's that? Yeah,
maybe more films should be like that. Just
I like by the plot lines, but it just
Frankenstein's monsters sort of supporting actor in the John Hughes films. That'd be good.
Yeah, he could be the janitor in Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that sort of that. Yeah. And there's no mention of it. It just that's just what happens because surely these creatures must exist somewhere. So you know.
But that's what I like about Teen Wolf. No one's that bothered that he's a wolf.
No.
And I think that's why the film's that little bit weird. It's in its own universe in a way that they just don't care, do they? And there could be a completely different film where they do tests on him in a lab and all that sort of bollocks. And
they could have had that Mick fellow like, I'm going to get a silver bullet out and try and do something like that, but they don't. And I sort of respect that.
I think for what the film is, it is better for it.
Yeah.
It's just when you see, I'd seen this Teen Wolf, he turns into a wolf. In my head, I guess I pictured it was going to be some gritty pseudo-like take on American Werewolf, and it was going to be.
Is that not a gritty enough take on it?
Oh no, yeah, exactly. But I thought it was going to be a teen film, but it's going to be a serious kind of dark undertone there.
Yeah.
Like he is a bit of a violent character, and it could go badly wrong at any point. But the worst thing he's going to do, as it turns out, is either tear your shirt off or rip your dress with his long nails.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if he'd done something like that, he's like, I've accidentally hurt someone.
It makes sense.
And then he's like, no, I've got to.
But the moment where he's like, I can't be the wolf anymore, all he did was tear his rival's shirt, which I'm sure would have been an inconvenience and would have cost the poor lad a couple of quid.
Yeah.
But
that's a weird scene that as well, because it's at the dance where Booth makes him be himself, and then he gets angry, turns into a wolf, rips this guy's shirt because he offends Booth, doesn't he? He says something about her, and that gets him angry. Or one of the things that gets him angry.
Does he call her a chicken?
I think he calls her a bitch.
Oh,
he calls her a little bitch. I think. I've only seen it like 1,000 times. But weirdly, he's being wound up, and he gets angry, and then everyone laughs at him, which I think is the only point in the film, where he's sort of mocked.
maybe that's it.
But I don't know whether they're laughing at him or Mick. It's that weird.
I think they are meant to be laughing at him.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear. But in Teen Wolf 2, another thing they do kind of get right well, not right, but it sort of works, is they bully him and make fun of him for turning into a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's none of that in this. He's a hero.
Yeah.
So,
it's a strange film, really.
Yeah.
I like it. I had a good time.
Yeah.
But I don't quite know why.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a film that I've watched from 6-7 years old, so I've got such a different take. I've watched it over and over, so this is one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast, is to get other people's views, because I've brainwashed myself to love it. And when I've done film studies, for a laugh, I would bring up Teen Wolf as much as possible to the lecturer, and it'd always stuff that was right, but I annoyed him so much with it. I bet he hates the film Teen Wolf more than he hated me. What do you think would be different if it was made now? I mean, there's a lot of...
I think it'd probably end up as there wouldn't be any hair makeup for a start. It'd all be CGI, and you'd probably jump across buildings and throw cars about, and there wouldn't actually be any plot line, would there? I've seen modern films. I know what happens in your kid stuff films, you young persons. Damn you!
What was that one? I mean, this is quite old now. Was it Big Wolf on Campus? Do you remember that?
Around the same era. I don't know what's that. Really.
A little bit like the TV show, wasn't it?
Oh no, I'm getting confused with. There's Big Man on Campus, which is the same.
That was me.
That was.
I was the big man on campus. I'm happy, you know.
But it was a Hunchback, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame goes to university.
That sounds amazing.
That is on Amazon Prime. A friend of mine was looking for that. She loved it, and was trying to track down the DVD from America, and it was really, really expensive. And we were looking about eBay everywhere, and like managed to find a copy for like 25 quid or something. And I was just like, wonder if it's on Amazon, and it was. But that's the very same era. I don't. Yeah, Big Wolf on Campus, was that a series, or was that just us thinking that was...
I think it was a TV show. I think it was one of those ones that sort of was probably a bit edgy. I remember it was sort of around like Goosebumps kind of time, I think.
Oh, okay, that's sort of 90s kind of kids...
I don't remember it being good, but I remember watching it. And, I think that probably paved the way for what the new Teen Wolf might be.
Yeah, I mean, this was...
Which looks awful.
The series of Teen Wolf, based... Well, a teenager turned into a wolf who's called Scott. That's pretty much what I've seen of it, this first 2 episodes. They've just used the name to sell it, I think, and that's very Twilight. And I think if Teen Wolf was made now, you don't really get silly comedies that get cinema release. No. So I think this would be... there'd be more romance in it, more angst, and it would be a lot more... It'd focus more on the love side of it than basketball. I think that's what it would be, and obviously there'd be no surfing on top of a van because that's dangerous. This is implying it would be, if it's going to be a teenage film. I mean, you wouldn't make a film called Teen Wolf an 18 because it's aimed at teenagers, hence the title.
Yeah,
so
no flies on you, eh?
Exactly, yeah. So I think that it would go really romantic, and it would go that Twilight route, I think, and it would be a totally different film. Yeah. There'd be none of the drug references. You wouldn't have the parties like that. I think you definitely wouldn't have. We mentioned you definitely wouldn't have Chubbs in it. I don't think you'd get a film like this now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it is a comedy, but there's not many jokes in it.
It's a film that when you try and actually pin it down, you're not really sure what and who it's aimed for. I mean, you can get a broad sense of people who would enjoy it, but as you say, in terms of marketability, if you're trying to whack a genre on it to put in your Netflix search bar.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because it's fallen into being a comedy, but there's not much.
It's not
many laughs. Yeah, it's a likeable
film.
Enjoyable.
It's just as you say.
Only the coach is funny, really. That and the fact that his dad looks like Dave Lee Travis when he turns into a werewolf.
That's that bit where you see his dad looking like grey. Old werewolf. Apparently, that got a massive laugh at the first screening.
Understandably.
Yeah, but then they hadn't seen the trailer, had they, which it was in. But the director as well. When they were looking for a director, he was everyone. They asked what you think the film's about, and he was the only one who didn't say it's about a werewolf, and he says it's about a relationship between a father and son. Which I think it's about.
He hadn't seen the title of the film, had he? He hadn't read the script. He just guessed.
Yeah,
it is about a werewolf. What's he talking about?
You got it wrong.
Yeah. Didn't even notice his dad was in it. I think obviously it's about just being yourself, and that's the moral of it. Like all 80s films have a moral.
But then, sort of by the end, he's ashamed of part of himself a bit because the werewolf is part of him, and it seems a bit. I think that's interesting though, because sort of, in some ways, I think maybe if it was now, they'd be like, "Yeah, embrace being the werewolf,and then the final bit would be him scoring as the werewolf."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like half and half.
Yeah,
werewolf head, normal body.
I mean, maybe I think I was making a good point there, but that's been ignored. Cheers, mate.
I know.
But I
Things have changed, haven't they?
I think that's an interesting thing that they seem. Oh yeah, you got to embrace being yourself. You be you, individuality. Oh, but don't be the werewolf.
Yeah,
No,
I think
don't like him.
You're right.
That's a common thread in most 80s films, though, isn't it? If you think the end of The Breakfast Club, where they're kind of at the right, we've all accepted, we're our own people, we're not just box we put ourselves in, but we are going to give you a makeover, weird girl, so you look like everybody else.
Yeah, and she looks worse after the makeover, I think.
It's an odd moment in the film.
I didn't understand The Breakfast Club. Why? Whose authority did they end up in school on a Saturday?
That was the thing in America, isn't it?
Is that a thing in it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Land of the Free.
Why didn't they just go home?
Yeah, well, I just wouldn't have gone in.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Put me in detention?
Anyway.
Yeah. What were we saying before we started talking about The Breakfast Club?
In 80s films, they often you don't get people.
Message of
You don't get like young people in films tucking their shirts in anymore, like you did in the 80s.
Michael J. Fox was a hero at check shirt tucked in.
Tucked in.
Yeah.
But they're all at it, weren't they? If you watch any 80s film, the kids who got the shirts tucked in. That's not
weird.
Yeah. Ralph Macchio, he's got that going on, hasn't he? They're all up to it.
But in the 80s, they did wear backpacks properly with just one arm thing on.
Yeah.
No.
I was ready for attack at any moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To ward off bullies.
Yeah.
Drop it if need be and run.
Yeah. Breakfast Club has thrown me. The soundtrack. Should we mention something? Because there's a lot of. It's very 80s, the soundtrack, and you've got the use of Surfing USA by the Beach Boys, which they surf on top of the van with, which is another sort of iconic-ish scene. Very dangerous for kids to copy, but then kids can't drive vans, I'm guessing.
Or turn into werewolves.
You don't have to be a werewolf to surf, because Styles surfs on top of the.
Yeah, if he doesn't do as much gravitas, does he? He doesn't handstand as well.
No, he's not as cocky.
Yeah.
But the actual score, I like it. I don't think you did.
I do like it.
Yeah.
I think it's used weirdly. It's really tense. We're outside an off license. Let's play this really tense. Why have you done that? It's good, but I feel like it's not in the right film.
That bit you said. I think it works at the beginning with the basketball man.
Yeah, that bit makes sense because it's sort of setting the scene.
Yeah,
but it just seems weirdly used, a lot of it. And then there's some bits where you think, that's quite nice.
Yeah,
they've done all right there. But it's kind of like a sort of sub Harold Faltermeyer kind of thing, but it's not used in like a cool way. You get like, even Fletch, which is an embarrassing film. I love it. It's one of my favourite films. But sort of just watching Chevy Chase kind of wandering around. He's not a cool guy in that, but the music makes you think, he's cool.
Yeah.
In this, it's kind of it's almost used almost as inappropriately, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It's weird.
All the bits that aren't songs, nothing for me.
Really?
Like the songs are classic 80s film.
Yeah, and there's
loads of the classic 80s song that was very punchy. Like we're talking a classic punchy pop song, but I can't remember any of them. But at the time, I was
Well, that's one interesting thing about this film. All the songs, apart from Surfing USA, weren't hits to my knowledge. There's not like the recognisable song.
Yeah.
I reckon they've just got smaller acts to maybe write songs for the film, or they've just used ones like "Win in the End." So I did have the soundtrack. It was an illegal copy though, so I can't tell you who done the songs. But there was no Simple Minds done. Don't you forget about me. There was nothing like that. But it works. The montage bits are great, and there is catchy, feel good 80s music in there, and the ballads as well, which kind of goes along with it. And that's another thing. If this film was made nowadays, you probably wouldn't get that. You probably wouldn't get the pop songs in there because just pop music still exists. But you don't.
It would all be 80s songs still. It would just be ones that you probably knew better.
It's slowed down, recorded by someone different.
Yeah. A wispy voice, a ukulele, and a piano.
Yeah, and
loads of hi-hat.
Yeah.
But apart from like Guardians of the Galaxy, I can't think of it. And I suppose Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel's set in the 90s.
I think most
you don't get
usually are.
Yeah,
just we're in the past. Do you know what that is? It is a song that you don't remember, but now you think's really good.
Yeah, but when we reviewed Master Universe last week, it was like there's pop songs in there that you recognise, isn't there?
Yeah.
And there was even one in Teen Wolf 2 I recognised.
No, it is the whole bit where he's singing "Do You Love Me," isn't there?
Oh, he does that as well.
Which is sort of brilliant. It's the best part of the film.
Yeah. Then there's the anti-climax where he just falls backwards into
just a
sheep
parachute thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a stupid film.
Yeah. Teen Wolf 2 is a bit stupid.
More like Teen Wolf Poo.
Any more fun? Oh, another fun fact. You know, we mentioned the street. It looks like it's on Halloween.
Is it the street from Halloween?
No, it's the street
from Back to the Future.
Yes.
When
he falls out of the tree. Did you know that?
I did. Yeah. I'd forgotten all about it, and I made a stupid joke that was wrong, and then I remembered the real fact. Like a film critic.
What's one of them? So we should sort of sum things up, I suppose. We've been talking 45 minutes about this classic.
I'd like to just mention Jerry Levine.
Oh, Lewis.
Styles.
Styles, sorry.
Who is wonderful and should have been in more things.
Yeah.
Should have played Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Because Matthew Broderick's a nerd and shouldn't have been Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
He would have been great in that.
Do you know if he's been in anything else?
He was in the Big Salad episode of Seinfeld.
Oh, right, okay.
And he was a love interest for Sharona in an episode of Monk. So
Monk was a few years after, so I imagine he's been doing theatre or something. Because
he mostly does directing now. He directed a lot of episodes of Monk. He did a lot of the new Hawaii Five-0.
Okay.
But he was a really good performer, and it seems like a bit of a waste that he wasn't. I think he might have been in, unless I've made it up, might have been in the K9 film you mentioned.
Oh, possibly.
And was an Oliver Stone one. But he's not really in much.
So he hasn't... smaller roles, basically.
Yeah, it just seems like a waste of a big talent.
Yeah, but then maybe if he got into directing, that's why...
it just seems a shame.
And I did read that he still gets recognised for that role everywhere he goes, apparently.
Or they think that he might be dead Bill Hicks.
Yeah. He has got that look about him, hasn't he? Especially when he's got the sunglasses on.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Chubbs is briefly in Naked Gun, and literally one line. And I know he played... John Wayne Gacy.
Is he the clown fella?
Yeah, in a film about him.
I want to see that.
So he's still about acting. Whenever I see him and stuff, I'm like, I see him from Teen Wolf. But besides that, I'm the same with Michael J. Fox. I just think it's him from Teen Wolf.
Michael J. Fox is very good in it, though, isn't he?
He's very likeable. He's not a million miles away from Marty McFly.
I suppose this role was clearly effortless.
Yeah. He'd been in Family Ties, which I've never seen, if I'm honest.
No.
I imagine he plays the same sort of character, teenage. But he does it well, and considering he's 23, I mean, he's had plenty of years practice of being a teenager. Yeah. But it's like in Greece, isn't it? When they make them all older, that you do just assume they're all teenagers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, if you look at it now, that's another thing. If it was made now, it would be him out of Spider-Man, wouldn't it? The one who's 7 and plays Spider-Man now.
Oh yeah.
What's his name? Tom Holland.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be people.
They find something actually the correct age. That's outrageous. I'm not about that.
I mean, John Travolta. That's a hairy man. You don't get youth actors that hairy now, do you?
Wasn't there?
Olivia Newton-John about 30 odd when she did that film anyway.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. So I think that's something they used to do. And I think when I was younger, you wouldn't think anything of it because you're that much younger anyway.
Yeah.
That you think they're 30 seems really old when you're 7, and it's probably 18 seems older, so you wouldn't really notice. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, yeah.
But you look back now and you're like, wow, the guy who plays Mick, to me, the actor was 27. He looks a lot older than that.
He looks like Ben Shapiro, who's about 40.
But I think that it all works, and it's in its own little thing. And also the quality of the acting, I don't know if I should say this, is probably better because there's more experienced people playing these roles.
Yeah. Even if it just means they've actually been on a film set before.
Yeah.
You must get that kind of just practical experience. These people, it's not their first production. They've done telly, they've done other films.
Yeah.
There's no one who you think, oh, that was embarrassing. There's no, because normally when you watch these films, there's normally one person who maybe just a sort of a bit part you think, oh, that's taken me out of it. You don't get that.
No.
So you get that in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Who would you say in Back to the Future?
I'd pin most of it on Flea, to be fair.
Yeah, sure. I see what you're saying. It's considering, I'm assuming, there's a lot of extras in it, and they might have been people who went to the school it was show or whatever. But yeah, no one, you don't get the background extra overacting or looking into the camera. Or they're all quite good, and Michael J. Fox is the only one who really went on to be big after this. I mean, the two lead actresses both retired in '97, the same year. But they might still do theatre. They might have had families, and if the career didn't go that way, you can see with acting, you can see that, can't you? People. It's sexist, but as women get older, it's harder to get the roles. That's sort of a wrong known fact, isn't it? And it's been spoofed. Actresses take the piss out of that sometimes. And you play the teenage love interest, the mum, and the nan, and that's it.
If you look at the recasting of the princesses in the new Bill and Ted film.
Yeah, that's
the original princesses were both older than Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Now they're about 15 years younger. But they're meant to be the same characters.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Casting.
They're doing a sequel to Top Gun. Is Kelly McGuinness in it?
I don't know.
I don't reckon.
I wouldn't have thought so.
No, and that's weird. But she was older. The character was older than him. They can still do it.
Yeah, but they won't, though, will they?
No, they won't. No, because it's Hollywood.
They'll find a 25-year-old for Tom Cruise to become involved with, like most Tom Cruise films now.
Yeah, he's a lad, isn't he?
He's so old.
I just like him running. There's a YouTube hours worth of him running, and he does that weird, like he's just chopping the air with his kung fu.
It's the only way he can keep his balance on the stilts, though, isn't it?
Right, back to Teen Wolf.
All right, Teen Wolf.
So, it was a hit. Do you think it deserved to be?
Yeah,
I suppose cinema was different then. That you're allowed to just watch things that weren't necessarily meant to be the best film ever made, and it's the kind of film that everyone could enjoy. So everyone would have gone and seen it in that sense.
Yeah,
and it's not obnoxious, is it? It's not like...
No, I mean it has dated, and some of the stuff now seems. You wouldn't get a kids' film with someone having a T-shirt saying "What are you looking at, dick nose" on it.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem with society now, isn't it? They're all a bunch of snowflakes. You can't even have an obscene T-shirt.
He's stopped. Yeah. He's gamming himself out. But I mean, there's this stuff in films now that 20 years time won't be able to do, and things will go around.
Yeah,
but
won't be allowed to have Michael Bay directing them.
He'd have blown himself up.
One can dream.
Yeah. Maybe he should work with John Landis. And no.
Oh no!
No.
Admittedly, a director of a far superior werewolf film.
Well, as films go, I mean, that's a comedy as well, but there's actual jokes in American Werewolf in London.
It's funnier and scarier.
Yeah. Teen Wolf 2 had the penguin from the Blues Brothers in, which John Landis directed as well. Yeah. And interesting that they've got a few. I'll just mention Teen Wolf 2 again quickly. The bloke who played the dad in the Addams Family, I forget his name, the actor. No, in the original series.
All right.
And he was the Riddler in the second or third series of the 60s Batman as well. So they've got a few.
He's not Frank Gorshin.
No.
That's his name. That's Frank Gorshin.
That's it. But I think Teen Wolf 2 is worth a watch just because it's interesting. It's not a good film. But if you've seen the first one and you like it, give the second one a go just so you can
then you realise it kind of makes more narrative sense, even though it's awful.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? How
it should be written in every aspect apart from the fact it exists.
Yeah, just not.
Was it a straight-to-video job?
I think it was in this country anyway. Teen Wolf might have been. I don't think so. I think Teen Wolf in America was such a big hit, it probably did.
Yeah.
So you're both saying it deserved to be a hit because it's likeable fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. It got 6.1 on IMDb, far too low, but yet higher than Master of the Universe, which was last week's. What would you give it out of 10?
I can go first, I think.
I think in a strange way, 6.1, it's low, it's harsh, but it doesn't feel unjust.
Yeah.
I'd probably aim more 6.87 maybe.
Yeah, so
keep
sort
the
of
IMDb
a 3 out of 5.
You know, because it's 3 out of 5, 3.5. You want to get really specific. Because you
3 out of
watch
5
it.
sounds nicer than 6 out of 10, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I said 3 stars, I wouldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But saying 6 out of 10, I feel
It feels like you're giving it.
I feel like
justifies it.
Yeah.
Because it is good, enjoyable film,
Yeah.
and that you can't fault it. It's the sort of film to say you give that a watch, mate.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it.
But
You might not remember it in a couple of days' time, and you might never want to watch it again. But you'll watch it that once, and I defy anyone to enjoy it that one time.
Yeah. It's just 90 minutes brain off, isn't it? You know, so many things don't add up about it, but those things make the film better, I think.
It's that odd diversity, doesn't it, of sense and enjoyment. The more sense a film makes, the shitter it is.
Yeah.
Unless it's Tenet.
Yeah, we won't mention Tenet because I'm moaning about it. It's getting great reviews, and then I'm doing a podcast talking about Teen Wolf Plus Hugo. So yeah, do you dare give it a rating?
We'll go for the perfunctory 6.9.
So 7 is what you're saying.
I've said 6.9. You make of that what you will.
Are you just gonna say that every time we have you on?
No. Sometimes I might give it a 4.20.
Michael J. Fox, can you think of anybody else who'd have done well in this role?
Oh, maybe Jason Bateman.
No. I'll move on to because it's very him, isn't it? It's that role.
It's a Michael J. Fox role, isn't it?
Yeah.
Likeable teen who's actually he's moderately successful in his way, isn't he?
Yeah.
Even in this film, even though he doesn't start out, he's still first team basketball player, so he's not a complete loser.
Yeah, he's not the nerd, is he? He's not.
He just kind of plays that kind of verge of popularity normal kid.
Yeah, he does.
And
he
does that well in every film.
Yeah,
all the time.
I couldn't imagine, say, Eric Stoltz in it because wouldn't that be horrible for him? Because listeners, I don't know if you know, he was Marty McFly, and then after a few days of shooting, they got rid of him and got Michael J. Fox in. Would have been so bad if he'd been that. And he also recorded the pilot of Spin City. Then they got rid of him.
He was the original voice of Stuart Little.
Yeah. Never mind. But
you just think of all the other actors doing teen films at that time. None of them.
I mean, that's the thing. He's likeable, whereas
all the other ones aren't. Yeah.
What about that lad out of? Would he have been the right age out of the Wonder Years? He might have been quite good.
He'd have been a lot younger.
He would have been.
But yeah, that could have worked. Fred Savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sort of bloke that you'd like to see in a film like that.
Yeah.
He's good at tucking his shirt in as well.
Yeah, he directs now, I think.
Yeah.
I think because he was a huge star, and he won the year's Princess Bride, and then cameo in Austin Powers a few years later.
Yeah.
Oh no, he done the Wizard film as well, with, which is a big advert for Nintendo games, where he enters a NES competition with the singer Jenny Lewis when she was younger. He's in it.
You've not just made that.
No, that's a real film.
Dreamt that.
And he does this. Him and his little brother and travel from one end of the country to another, being chased by the police and their family because they've run away.
Oh yeah.
And then they get to a big games contest. His brother gets to the final, and then the surprise is they've got to play this new game which no one's played before, and it's Mario 3, and that was the big ad for Mario 3.
I think you said the game was called Life.
Whoa.
And it turned out it was written by a taxi driver.
Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
Imagine if he'd directed Teen Wolf. Well, Kevin Smith directed Teen Wolf as a sort of stoner.
If anyone was going to do a Teen Wolf film now, I'd want it to be Kevin Smith. He's quite good on the horror angle as well, to be fair, so he could probably do something good with it.
That would be There'd be a bit more marijuana references.
Well, you know.
And Styles could be played by Jason Mewes. That could work.
And Teen Wolf would be his daughter.
Yeah, so I'm very surprised. I mean, they've done Teen Witch. I'm surprised there hasn't been a female take on it. In Teen Wolf
Kate
2,
McKinnon to do it though, for you to watch it.
that would be amazing. She could do that. They in the second one of the teachers, a female teacher, is a wolf, and you see she's got a tail,
Yeah.
but none of the others have got tails. Interesting.
Maybe it's because she'd got a dress on, so it sort of come out from underneath. But
He's
wearing them
Those
diddy
are
little
teachers.
shorts, though, isn't he? So he
Yeah,
can really
yeah.
fold them in.
Yeah.
Those shorts were too short in Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Nah, this film gets a lower score than I'm pretty. It's gone
6.8.
down to 5.2
Ooh.
just because of the shorts and the sweat.
The sweat I found fascinating. I'm not saying it made the film. I'm not rating it based on
Yeah,
that.
sure. That's not.
I think before the
But it's
scene,
just-
they just chucked the bucket of water over them, didn't they?
Then really close-up slow-mo shots of them.
Ugh.
Some of the film,
Yeah.
I think, in terms of syndrome.
That's some David
start off-
Cronenberg kind of horrendous.
You start off with that brilliant shot of the light bulb, like it's the moon. Oh, it's about werewolves, isn't it? Oh, the moon.
Oh, that's quite
And then
clever,
it's
that.
really good, and then it goes to slow-mo, ultra sweat of Michael J. Fox, and that sums up the film in 1 5-second
It
frame.
doesn't have any moon songs in, does it?
No, because they've all been used.
Werewolf, yeah.
Yeah, there's not many references to traditional werewolf films. I mean, it's obviously just a rehash of the 50s film I Was a Teenage Werewolf,
Yeah.
with basketball in
There
it.
was also Full Moon High. Is that one you've seen? Early 80s werewolf in a school comedy.
Oh, no, I've heard of it. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
it's one I've sort of found doing my research. Not seen it, but
One to look up.
intrigued. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we should wrap it up. I really recommend anyone watching Teen Wolf. And if you want to comment on any of our pages, on Facebook and Twitter, ACM's Vault of Cult is on both, so please comment. I think you probably can on the Anchor podcast thing as well. You can probably send us a message. Thanks for listening. Thanks to you guys for joining. Hopefully there'll be another episode along soon. I know you guys are going to watch Howard the Duck for me, aren't you?
Yeah.
So that'll be along
See if you
soon.
find a copy, yeah.
I've got.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, because I've got that on DVD and Blu-ray. So, but I've got to rewatch it. That's interesting. But that might not be next. There's a few more episodes in the pipeline. Supergirl is one, and I've got. I don't imagine whoever I get to see that will like the film as much as I do. I don't think anybody does. Peter Cook's brilliant in it though. So yeah, Teen Wolf, thank you all very much for listening, and